I would have to thank Charles and Joe for putting on such a great conference. It's been a lot of fun. Heather and Jessica, their partners, have had to deal with quite a bit the past year, I would imagine, so thanks to them too. And I don't know if you knew, but yesterday was Charles and Heather's wedding anniversary. Oh, big kiss. And I should thank Charles for singling me out to go over the code of conduct. I don't think anybody else has had it read to them. Twice. And it's kind of funny, when I go to a conference, over the past few years, every conference that I've been to has either adopted a code of conduct or updated their code of conduct. So this is my first time in Indianapolis, and it's been great. Last night, I walked out of the restaurant where I was having dinner, and this woman, old woman, came, stopped, and said, "I love Duck Dynasty." Like that, okay, and I started to talk to her. It's my favorite show. Okay, you're welcome. We have fun putting it on. It's great. I went for a walk. I walk a lot now. Went for a walk a couple of streets up. And in California, where I live now, people will stop. You get anywhere near a crosswalk, traffic comes to a halt, even if you don't cross. It's great to, oh no, I'm not crossing that. Here, they come closer to try and hit you at the crosswalk. So they have these crosswalk signs, except I go down to the very end of the street, and there's this big tower. I don't know if anybody's been there. It's got a circle roadway around it, and the crosswalks have no signs. So after my experience up here, I'm thinking this is like a giant game of Frogger in Indianapolis. You know, it was kind of an exciting thing to try and get across there. During my walks here, I get looks everywhere I go. I'm used to it. But people in Indianapolis would actually look, and they would split the sidewalk when I'm walking down. I never had to move. And there was one woman and her kid. I stopped and turned around, and it was like, oh, Jesus, he's looking at us. You know, I mean, it's like this is what they see. So I went to a pub up the street, an Irish pub, one afternoon, had a few drinks, took some shots with some locals. This guy was especially nice. He listened to me all afternoon. So my name is Jim Dalrymple. I run The Loop, website, news. I've been, some people are looking and saying, what the hell does the homeless guy know about business? I've been doing websites and writing and commentary on Apple and building businesses for 21 years now. And today, I'm going to talk about hiring the right people and what it takes to hire the right people. Because I've talked to so many people here this week, and we're all looking to hire or to work with somebody. Get a couple good shots there. But before I do that, in the conversations that I've had with people here, one of the things that kept coming up was part of a talk I did before about making decisions. And I wanted to go over a little bit of that because it has a lot to do with how we hire people. And every single day, we all make decisions. We make decisions, life decisions. We make decisions about our kids, about our apps, about our businesses, our websites. Every single thing we do, we make decisions. So the biggest piece of advice that I've given anybody is to make decisions for the right reasons. if you make a decision for the right reason, it's going to be good for your users, it's going to be good for you as a business, and you'll thrive. Otherwise, you suck. That's really what it comes down to. So when you look at websites and you look at things like Twitter buttons and all the ads and all the things that they have in there, and you start to look, those are made decisions, bad decisions made by the company, but they're for the company. I mean, we know how to use Twitter. If we want to tweet a link, we'll do it. They put those there for themselves. I used to have them on my website. I put them there for me, not for you. That was a bad decision. Every decision you make, you have to understand the benefits. Nobody sets out to ruin their business, but the decisions that we make every single day either chip away at the foundation that we're trying to build, or they start to build that up. You need to understand that all of those decisions are going to affect your users and your future. You also need to understand the consequences, because every decision has one or the other. It's going to come with benefits, it's going to come with consequences. There are going to be some times when you're going to have to make a tough decision, and it is going to negatively affect your users, whether you're going to charge a lot for an update, or you're going to cut off your developer and hire somebody new. You're going to make a decision. It's going to be hard, but you're going to have to do it. Those ones, there's nothing you can do. But at least you'll know what you're doing when you do it. So let's look at some poor decisions. I have some. One, maybe. This was a dandy one. Blink tag. I loved the blink tag back in the day. I wanted to put the blink tag around everything. Everything. It was great. I loved the blink tag until everybody started using the blink tag. You can't read shit when the blink tag comes up. It was annoying. Here's a bad decision. What the hell was he thinking? This is a good decision. That's my loop tattoo. No matter what happens in my life, unless I'm in witness protection, the loop tattoo is going to mean something to me. It's my business. It's the way that... What? This is a good decision. This is a better decision. So, this is Canada. I stay indoors in Canada like 90% of the time because there's predators right outside the door. And I didn't have a lot of time to think, a lot of time to understand a lot of the things that I was doing. So I decided I was going to move. And I went to California. And I've been there for about a year. And funny things started happening when I moved, when I made that decision. With my business, I noticed that things in California, for me, would stop around 3 or 4 o'clock. Because on the East Coast, it was now 6 or 7 o'clock. And everything was shutting down. So at 4 o'clock, I was sitting there with nothing to do. Now, I bet you think I drink more. But I didn't. I had the extra time. I started to walk. So it wasn't a real conscious decision. I just put on my headphones and I went for a walk. In Canada, I'd walk to the fridge, get a beer, come back. When I started to walk, something else happened. I lost 50 pounds in the last year, which was great, but it was a side effect of the actual decision to go for a walk, because what I wanted to do was think. I started to think, how can I make my business better? What can I do, and what am I not doing right now to make myself more successful? I want more money. I want more happiness, and happiness is money. Not for everybody. So I started to think about all of the things that were affecting my life, good and bad, and how I could change those. Poor decisions are something that we all make. Everybody. Again, not me, but most of you guys. We make poor decisions in every aspect of our life. And what I wanted to know for me and my business is what causes me to make poor decisions. What have I done over the last 5 years since I started the Loop that have caused the business to go down or up? I think there are 3 categories for me that caused me to make really bad decisions. First is fear. Fear is crippling in making decisions. I think it's probably one of the most crippling things that we've all come across besides love. That's crippling too. But sometimes the fear is real. There's a real fear. Sometimes it's just an irrational fear. But it doesn't matter. You end up in exactly the same place, making poor decisions out of fear. The next one is greed. I love money. I think we all want our businesses to be successful. But we've all seen these developers or businesses that are clearly out just for greed, just for money. I don't have much sympathy for them. And we also have the need to impress. I've seen some great apps over the years. They were terrific apps. And before the developer released them, they threw in like 300 features. And it took this great app and made it a piece of junk. And they were trying to impress their users and the people and the developers and the community with all of this stuff that it could do. When in actual fact, that one thing was what it did best. Everything else just cluttered it up. May the 8th, 2009. I got a call that day from Jason Snell, who was the editor-in-chief of Macworld, where I worked for 10 years. And Jason told me that they were laying me off. So I had a wife, 2 kids, a dog, car, house. Basically what you saw in that other picture. I had everything in Canada. So I was scared. So I had to make some decisions. Made some calls that day, got a job that afternoon, going to start Monday. That's all great. I knew what I wanted to do was do my own business again. So I'm a smart guy. I know smart people. So I made this really shitty website. It was awful. Ads everywhere. Ugh. Terrible. And where I couldn't fit ads, I fit ads on the next page. Or on the next page. I fit ads everywhere. I would do whatever I needed to do to make money. But I was doing it all wrong. And every decision I made in building that business for the first 2 years was built on fear. I realize that now. So I had an interesting dilemma. The website became popular. Now, how do I change it? How do you take something that's popular and change it? I was afraid to do that. So now I'm scared both ways. I have fear that I'm not going to make enough money, and I have fear that I'm going to tear apart the one thing that is making money, even though I hated to visit my own website to do it. I hated my own business. When I recognized that people were coming to hear what I had to say or to read what I had to say, instead of the place that I was doing it, I had a calming feeling. I was kind of filled with confidence at that point, because I knew I could do whatever I wanted to the site, and it was only going to improve it. So the big question was what to do next. Now that I have this newfound confidence, and I'm sure, mostly sure, that I'm not going to ruin my business, I decided to tear it apart. It took me 4 months to tear apart the website. And, you can look at this as an app too, because I did it with an app as well. But it took me 4 months to tear apart the website. And I looked at every single aspect of the site. I broke it down, and the only thing that remained on the page was the story. The main basis of the whole business should be content. That's what I was all about. So let's leave the content there. What else do we need? Twitter buttons? No. Those are there for me. Get rid of them. All they do is cause the page to load slow. I want the page to load fast. I struggled with every decision. Recent posts and comments and everything. I struggled with everything. I even called Gruber, and I showed him what I wanted to do. And he said, yeah, looks great, do it. So I stole a lot of John's ideas, but So after 4 months, I came up with this, which is what the Loop is today. Clean. I think it's a whole lot better than this. Everything is there for a purpose. There's a navigation, there's links to the content, and there's one small ad. That's it. And further to Gene's point, I do have 2 podcasts, so if you would like to sponsor me. So, okay. What do you do when something's not working? What do we all do? We focus in on that one thing. We use all of our energy, all of our time, our resources, and we focus in on this one problem. We get everybody around us to focus on this one problem. And the business turns to hell because everybody is focused on this one thing. And that's not always the right thing to do. This is a pivotal moment in making the decision. This is the time where you need to slow down. You need to take a step back. And that's what I did for 4 months. I took a step back from the decisions that I knew I had to make so that I made the decisions, the right decisions, and for the right reasons. I didn't want to start making poor decisions on top of poor decisions. So I took a step back. I considered every single possibility of what I could do and how I could do it. I talked to people. I talked to Gruber, talked to my dog, everything. And I came to the realization that it's not worth wasting any more time, wasting any more resources, that it's time to just cut free. said, I did talk to Gruber, but one of the greatest things that I did was talk to two friends of mine, Rick Fillion and Phil Eterno. Phil's a designer, and Rick just bugs me. But I went to Phil and said, here is my idea for what the loop should be. That's it. That's all I want. And he said, okay, got it. We can do that. And I said, okay, now from this point forward, do not listen to anything I say, because I will call you with some dumbass ideas and you can't do them. Do not do them. You got to promise me. And he said, no, I would call him like every second day. I've got this great idea for a blink tag. We need to put it up here. We need to do this. And he would just say, no. I'm sticking with what you told me. No. And what he gave me at the end is exactly what I wanted. I was trying, even through the process of rebuilding, I was again making poor decisions and coming up and saying, Phil, I need this so that I can make money. And he wouldn't do it. And I'm so glad that he didn't. Sometimes talking to people is just about reaffirming your vision. That's why I love these types of conferences, because people come with ideas and they sit down and talk to other people that may be in a completely different market. Sometimes that's better. And they go over their ideas. And it makes these things priceless. One thing that I've learned in hiring people is that the smartest people on paper aren't always the best fit for your business. I've met some incredibly smart people. They've got degrees that they could plaster this place with. But they were dumb as a bag of nails, you know? I mean, it's like you couldn't talk to them. You couldn't get anything through to them. And there are some situations when those people put them behind a computer and just say, this is what I want, code this, and it's great. But that's not what everybody needs, especially indie developers. One of my friends in California has been a friend of mine for 20 years, close to 20 years. I think he's the smartest man I've ever met. And we worked together for a while. And I would go to him with some problems and say, this is what the back end of the website is doing. This is what I want it to do. And here's how I want the users to see it. And he would sit back in his chair and look at the ceiling. Okay, I think I know how to do that. He said, but have you considered this? No, I hadn't. That's a good idea. So what if we take that? And it was such a collaborative thing, and he was so smart that he didn't have a degree. Didn't have a degree. And he's been recruited by some of the biggest companies in technology. But he's so smart. And I respect his opinion on everything. So I wanted to build an app. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I wanted the Loop magazine to have an app. So now I've been in this business and I'm, old and crotchety and, angry, and been here for, by that time, 17 years, I guess. And I wanted this app. I knew what I wanted it to do, but I couldn't find anybody to really do it. And I had a chance meeting in London, England, with a friend of mine who's a developer, Chris Harris. And Chris does a lot of wonderful apps. And we sat down for 7 hours at a pub in London and got hammered. And by the end of that 7 hours, we had on napkins on the table, we had the app drawn up, what we wanted it to do, and how he could make these things work, things like transitions, and to make a magazine app that was different than what everybody else had, different than what the big companies out there had. Times and Forbes and all of these people putting out magazines that were basically PDFs. I wanted something that was interactive, that moved, that was friendly, and was visually appealing. So within a week, Chris gave me the framework for the Loop magazine app, which is basically the same framework that you see on the store today. We've made a lot of improvements. I say we like I coded it or something, but he made a lot of improvements. We come up with a lot of different ideas. But hiring Chris to do that job was one of the easiest things that I've ever done, because we just sat down and did it. It was just done. And that's what I needed. That's what I wanted. Now, I also had to find a designer, because a magazine needs covers. It needs some flash, not flash. All right, I'm done. It needed some spark. And I saw a designer online. She followed me on Twitter. And her name was Eva Giselle. She's on Twitter, a very talented girl. She just graduated from a design college. Incredibly talented, I think. So I called her and said, would you like to do some graphics for me? She was still in school. I said, I'll pay you. And she said, okay, what do you want me to design? And I said, you tell me. I gave her 3 stories for the cover of a magazine and said, whatever one appeals to you, whatever one inspires you, do it. Because I wanted her to be part of the process. I wanted her to be proud of what the work that she came up with. And she was. And she's been doing it ever since. We tried this for one issue. And so now I have a team of a designer, a developer, and me just picking on the 2 of them. And this is one of the first covers that Eva came up with. And I thought it was brilliant. I mean, the story that she picked was Future of Human Interface. And when she sent it to me, I sat there looking at it. This was, it's kind of creepy, but it's kind of cool. And this is what inspired her to work. Then Chris saw it and said, why don't we do something more so that when you tap on the magazine cover in the app, this happens. So now you've got some motion going on with the magazine cover, and the stories would be laid across the front of that. And when you start reading, that goes away. But that really creeped me out then. But I thought it was very cool. So I wanted to see what else we could do. So again, I call Eva. Here are 3 stories. She picked making music with iOS. What a cool idea. Guitar pegs on an iPhone. I thought that was really, really fantastic. Then Chris got it. And the tuning pegs move. It's just what I wanted for my app, just what I wanted from the people that I wanted to hire to do this. Not to just say, this is what you asked me for, and here it is, but to say, wait a minute, what if we take those and move them? What if we add a level of, it's not interactivity, but it's a level of, it's more than movement, it's almost interactivity, but without having to be interactive. And I thought those are only two examples, but there are plenty more that those two have come up with. And I take credit for it all. Those are two good hires that I've made. I've made a ton of bad ones. Bad hires. What do you do about a bad hire? I think the first question you have to ask yourself as a manager or the owner of a business is, are you being honest with yourself? Did you explain to them what you wanted? Do you want a partner in this like I have with Chris and Eva? Or do you just want somebody to sit down and write code or to draw a picture? Because if you have a really smart person, probably a girl, right, Gene? If you have a really smart person and you're limiting them so much, and the phrase overqualified comes into mind, then they're going to be off starting side businesses and doing all kinds of stuff where they could be helping you. You have to know the role of the person that you're hiring. I believe that I hire people because of their expertise. When a plumber comes over to the house, I don't grab the plunger and go with them. You're the expert. You go do what you do, and I'll be outside. So when a graphic designer says, here's what I think is best, I can give my feedback and say, and I have on a couple of occasions, and if you look at the magazine app, you'll see where sometimes the fonts are a bit too dark for the size of the magazine cover. We didn't realize that until we published it and said, okay, there's something that we need to learn for next time. So, before you start firing people, ask yourself if you're the problem. Because if you are the problem, it's only going to lead to more hires and more fires because you're never going to get what you want. So make sure that you know by talking to your friends what it is you're trying to accomplish with this job. Do you really want a partner, or do you want somebody to just sit down and do exactly what you tell them to do because you're always right? Good luck with it. So if you're confident that you're not the problem, fire them. Got to be done. It's unfortunate. We've all been through it. We've probably all been on both sides of it, but it's got to be done. And the longer you hold off on doing something about the problem, the longer it's going to stick around, the longer it's going to continue. And you don't need that, because we want to make money. You're not going to make money with bad hires. You're going to make money by making good decisions. Don't let the fear of life or whatever happens in your business cripple you, because it can, and it will. But places like this, people that you meet here, are the ones that can help you out of all of that. And I think with all the bad decisions and all the good decisions that I've made over the years, now when I go talk to somebody about work, it's very easy for me to know whether I have a connection. And a lot of that is just my gut. They may be a smart person, but you know what? I don't think it's going to work. So off to the next one. I don't waste any time anymore. And I don't think that any of us really have that time to waste. I mean, the App Store moves quick. There's probably been 300,000 new apps uploaded in the time that I've been given this talk. But all the lessons that I learned from building a website to building a business all went to building an app, to hiring a graphics designer, and it'll be on the next project that I do. It's on one that I'm doing right now. those same types of things. I'm going through hiring process. And I'm going through sitting down with these people and talking to them, asking them just what they think, I guess, are just benign questions. But they're questions that I know are going to determine whether I want them to work for me or not. So, thank you. Thanks for your time, for coming here. Had a great time talking to all of you.